London is in the grip of a housing crisis. For most people, buying a home in the capital is way out of reach. More than 250,000 households are on council waiting lists. Millions have been priced out of the city completely.
The reality is many people are paying 50–60% of their salaries in rent.
People whose jobs are needed by Londoners have been driven out of London.
Boris Johnson, London's mayor, says he's built record numbers of affordable homes in the capital.
Developers need to build more affordable homes on their sites, and we're being very, very tough.
And he sees housing as one of the key legacies of his 2 terms as mayor.
Is this your turn to being Prime Minister?
This is my moment too. I've got to do my last budget at City Hall, which is going to continue to cut council tax and invest in vital infrastructure, and of course to build hundreds of thousands of new homes.
Boris Johnson says there's no single more important issue than boosting supply and boosting investment in affordable homes. So what's he done? Well, since 2012, he's put more than 1,000 acres of public land on the market for development. That's an area bigger than Hampstead Heath. But how much of that prime land has actually gone to the people who really need it? We've examined all the deals that have been sealed to build on that public land since 2012, and we've made a shocking discovery. Despite all the claims about increasing affordable housing, our figures show just 1 in 4 homes being planned for public land will be affordable, despite millions of pounds in grants and very favourable terms for developers. That's well short of the 35 to 50% target most local councils in London have set. But the GLA dispute our figures. They say that if you include joint ventures and deals that haven't yet been signed, the proportion is slightly higher at 31%. The biggest development is in Greenwich. A Hong Kong-based company, Night Dragon, is building thousands of flats here. We're in a kind of slightly manufactured jungle up here on the top floor, but what's beyond us? What are we seeing?
Okay, well this is the East Greenwich Peninsula Master Plan area, and there are 11 plots here, essentially 4 plots in the north of the peninsula, and then we have remaining plots in the south.
We've looked at this 11-plot deal where nearly 3,000 homes are being built. The original deal was that almost 4 in 10 new flats here would be affordable. But despite generous grants, that number has been slashed.
On the Greenwich East Peninsula Master Plan area, the affordable housing percentage was reduced from 38% down to 21%.
The original developers, Quintain, commissioned a viability report that projected they couldn't make a profit unless they cut the number of affordable homes.
I think it's clear from that to anyone that the developer grossly underplayed the profitability of the development.
But we've discovered a presentation they later made to investors showing their predicted sales prices were far higher than expected.
The assessments that had previously been done showed lower values there, but when they made their presentation to the investors, it was 25% higher.
Hey presto,
values.
There's the higher price.
That's right.
How do you explain that?
Partly because they needed to sell it to investors, and partly because they were hiding from the public authorities the fact that this was a site that was worth a lot of money, and if that was revealed in full to local authorities, they would have demanded more in terms of affordable housing and value for the land.
So, in Greenwich, how much did the developers actually pay for the land?
They paid nothing for it. We actually paid them 13.5 million.
How did that work?
Because the land was valued at 50 million. However, they were given a £50 million, or just over £50 million affordable housing grant, and a discount on the sale of 30%. So effectively we paid them 13.5 million on a piece of prime real estate. It's an extraordinary deal.
Quintain declined to comment, but denies it's hidden anything. Just a few miles from Greenwich is another development in Catford, South London.
We're laying the foundations for a fantastic development.
This time the developer is Barratt Homes. They paid just £2.5 million up front for the land to build 600 homes. They only have to pay the remaining £7.5 million when the project's completed.
That's about as good as you're going to get, folks.
The GLA insists it got a good price, but refused to tell us how much the land had been valued at. Barratt themselves say public land is fantastic value. In their annual report, they say they make more money on public land than on private land, with returns boosted by the build now, pay later model. In total, they've acquired 5,000 plots on public land in the last year alone, developments valued at over £1 billion. Multi-billion pound development companies are getting deferred payment deals. They have to pay afterwards.
Absolutely.
You don't pay up front.
You don't pay up front. It's deferred payments until the development is completed.
The GLA sees both these developments as a huge success. They claim the most important thing was getting construction underway.
The GLA has driven a programme to deliver affordable housing in the city that will see 100,000 affordable homes completed over the Mayor's 2 terms.
What you've ended up doing is handing developers prime land at a very, very substantially reduced price.
I don't accept that. You described it as prime land.
Where it is.
What was here was the biggest gasworks in Europe. This is one of the most expensive and complex regeneration projects around.
And indeed, English Partnerships put 200 million into regenerating the land that, again, the developer gets effectively for free.
There are overage agreements in place that will result in any uplift being shared by both the public sector as well.
See, we've been trying to get hold of this overage agreement, which is effectively a compensation agreement for the mayor if the land rises in value. Where is it?
Understandably, some of this will be commercially confidential.
But has selling public land benefited Londoners on middle incomes who simply can't afford a home? Jane is a teacher in Croydon.
I was so struggling to find somewhere, so I had to move to Oxford and I had to commute to London.
As a key worker, she could be eligible for affordable housing, but she can't afford it.
So I looked at shared ownership, but I didn't think it didn't work out financially viable. It didn't seem affordable.
So, like millions of others, she mortgaged herself up to the hilt for a place badly in need of repair.
I've just got to save up and take on any extra work that I can get and then just get one job done at a time.
Boris Johnson's own housing assessment says London needs to build about 50,000 homes a year for the next 20 years. Half would be private, a fifth shared ownership, or so-called intermediate, and a third should be social rent, effectively what millions of council tenants across the UK would pay. But if you look at the data, we're nowhere near achieving this. Since 2012, deals have been made to build 150,000 new homes in London. But we've learned in the last 3 years, less than 18% of homes planned are classed as affordable, and year on year, the number of affordable homes planned is actually falling. And when you look at how many homes are for social rent, the number is tiny. Just 5,659 new flats over 3 years. That's 3.8% of the total.
It's totally shocking. It's absolutely shocking. It means that probably out of every 100 homes, a tiny, tiny proportion of those are going to be, a handful are going to be affordable for people on low incomes, who are the lifeblood of this city. They keep it going. The cleaners, the caretakers, the paramedics, the nurses.
Barratt Homes told us they bid for public land in open competition through a carefully assessed process. They told us they work with the public sector to regenerate derelict land and say using surplus public land is vital if more homes are to be built in London. The next mayor will have even more public land to sell. All candidates are promising to build affordable homes. We've discovered just how easy it is for the reality to fall short of the aspiration.